Warner Brothers, MGM, Paramount, Universal, 20th Century Fox, Columbia Pictures. What do all these studios that built Hollywood have in common? They were founded by Jewish immigrants who arrived in America with no money, no connections, not speaking English. In 2 decades, they transformed an orange grove in California into the world capital of entertainment. How was this possible? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the fascinating story and strategies that enabled Jews to dominate Hollywood and the practical lessons you can apply today to create opportunity where others see only rejection. Get ready, because this isn't theory. It's a blueprint for how to transform exclusion into empire. Welcome to 10 Minutes of Wisdom, where we reveal real stories that teach timeless principles. I'm Francini, and today we're exploring one of the most impressive cases of collective success in history: how Jews created Hollywood from scratch. If you want to understand how to identify opportunities others ignore and build empires in unexplored niches, hit that like button now and subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next is a masterclass in entrepreneurship, vision, and execution. Let's start by meeting the characters. Between 1880 and 1920, millions of Jews fled Eastern Europe, escaping pogroms, persecution, and extreme poverty. They arrived in America with nothing but hope and determination to survive. The Warner brothers, Harry, Albert, Sam, and Jack, were sons of a Polish cobbler. Louis B. Mayer was born in Russia in extreme poverty. Adolf Zukor, Paramount, arrived from Hungary alone at 16. William Fox, 20th Century Fox, was the son of Hungarian immigrants who worked in sweatshops. Karl Lemmel, Universal, was a German clothing salesman. Harry Cohn, Columbia, grew up in New York's Lower East Side, one of the poorest ghettos. None of them had significant formal education. None had capital. None had connections to the American elite. What did they have? Hunger for opportunity, willingness to work at anything, and vision to identify a niche completely ignored by established society. And here's the first crucial principle. They didn't try to compete where established competition already existed. They didn't try to enter banking, from which Jews were excluded. They didn't try heavy industry, dominated by WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. They identified something new, despised, considered low class: mass entertainment, specifically cinema. In the early 20th century, cinema was considered low-class entertainment for immigrants and the poor. Films were shown in Nickelodeons, small, cheap theaters that charged 5 cents per entry. The cultural elite despised this as vulgar and without future. But Jewish immigrants saw something different. They themselves were the audience. They understood the power of visual entertainment that didn't depend on speaking perfect English. They realized there was a massive market being completely ignored. So they started small. They bought Nickelodeons. Then they began distributing films, then producing them. And then they did something brilliant. They migrated from New York, where weather was limiting and unions were strong, to an almost deserted place called Hollywood, California. Why Hollywood? Year-round sunny weather for filming. Cheap land. Far from the Edison Trust trying to monopolize camera patents in the East. And proximity to Mexico in case they needed to flee. Lawsuits. It was survival strategy transforming into competitive advantage. And here's the second principle. They didn't wait for permission. The established industry tried to block them through patents and lawsuits. The Jews simply went where the law was weaker and built anyway. They were outsiders, so they played like outsiders. Now to the specific strategies that transform these immigrants into Hollywood moguls. Strategy 1. Vertical integration. They weren't satisfied with one piece of the big value chain. They wanted to control everything: production, distribution, and exhibition. Warner Brothers didn't just make films, they owned the theaters where films were shown. This guaranteed they'd always have a market for their products. Applicable lesson: when you control more of the value chain, you capture more profit and have more security. Don't just be a creator, be a distributor too. Strategy 2. Constant innovation. Hollywood's Jews didn't get complacent. Warner Brothers was first to add synchronized sound to films. The Jazz Singer, 1927. revolutionizing the industry. MGM created the star system, transforming actors into brands. Universal pioneered horror films as a profitable genre. They understood that in a new industry, whoever innovates first dominates. They took risks that the establishment wouldn't take because they had less to lose and more to gain. Applicable lesson. In emerging markets, speed and boldness beat tradition and caution. Be the first to do what others are afraid to try. Strategy 3. Collaboration among competitors. Here's something fascinating. Despite fierce competition, the Jewish studios collaborated when necessary. They formed the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, which gives the Oscars, together. Created the production code for self-regulation before government regulated them. Shared talent and resources when it made sense. This comes from Jewish tradition of community and mutual support. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Bazeh. All. Jews are responsible for one another. They applied this to business. Applicable lesson. Your competitors are also your industry colleagues. Strategic collaboration strengthens the entire sector and everyone benefits. Strategy 4. Understanding narrative and emotion. Jews have a 3,000-year tradition of storytelling through Torah and Talmud. They understand narrative structure, archetypes, hero's journey. They knew that powerful stories transcend language and culture. So they didn't just make films, they created dreams. MGM had the motto, "More stars than there are in heaven." They weren't selling entertainment, they were selling escape, hope, fantasy to masses tired of hard work. Applicable lesson? People don't buy products, they buy emotions and transformations. Master storytelling and you dominate the market. It wasn't easy. They faced brutal anti-Semitism. Henry Ford published articles attacking Jews who control Hollywood. Conservative groups accused them of corrupting American values. During World War II, some accused them of pushing pro-intervention propaganda. How did they respond? Not by retreating, but by publicly embracing American values. They made patriotic films, celebrated the American dream, showed that immigrants could be more American than the nativists. They used their own tools, films, to shape public perception. And here's something few talk about. Many changed their names. Samuel Goldfish became Samuel Goldwyn. Emmanuel Goldenberg became Edward G. Robinson. This was strategic assimilation. They maintained identity privately but publicly adapted. Some criticize this as denying identity. But the truth is more complex. It was intelligent survival. They chose which battles were worth fighting and which weren't. Applicable lesson: success sometimes requires adaptation without losing essence. You don't need to change who you are, but you may need to adjust how you present yourself. The Hollywood we know today was built by these men. Yes, the industry has changed massively. Giant corporations bought studios. Technology revolutionized production and distribution. But the principles remain. And here are the universal lessons anyone can apply today. Lesson 1. Opportunity exists where others see only rejection. If you're excluded from traditional markets, don't fight to enter. Create your own market. Lesson 2. Start small. Think big. Nickelodeons became studios that became empires. Don't wait to have everything perfect before starting. Lesson 3. Vertical integration gives power. The more of the chain you control, the more value you capture and the more security you have. Lesson 4. Innovate constantly. First mover in a new industry has enormous advantage. Don't be afraid to risk. Lesson 5. Community is strength. Collaborate with your peers. A strong sector benefits everyone. Lesson 6. Storytelling wins. Master the art of telling stories that touch universal human emotions. Lesson 7. Resilience in the face of adversity. They faced brutal prejudice but didn't give up. Used creativity to overcome barriers. The story of how Jews dominated Hollywood isn't about conspiracy or sinister control, as anti-Semites try to paint it. It's a story of brilliant entrepreneurship, tireless work, opportunity identification, and relentless execution by people who had nothing to lose and everything to gain. They didn't steal Hollywood from anyone. They created Hollywood when nobody else wanted it. They transformed something despised into a billion-dollar industry. and in the process, shaped 20th century global culture. Their lessons are applicable today. You don't need to be an immigrant, Jewish, or in entertainment. The principles work in any industry. Identify ignored niches. Start small, but think big. Control your value chain. Innovate constantly. Collaborate strategically. Master storytelling, and be resilient. Here's my challenge for you. Identify an area where you're an outsider, where you don't have traditional advantages. Instead of seeing it as a disadvantage, ask, what opportunity exists here that insiders can't or won't see? Hollywood's Jews did exactly this and changed the world. If this story inspired you, hit that like button now. Subscribe to the channel because we keep revealing real stories of people who transformed nothing into everything through vision and execution. And comment below, what ignored niche have you identified in your area? Where can you be a pioneer? I want to know your vision. Remember, the greatest empires are built by outsiders who see what insiders are blind to. Be the visionary outsider. Build your Hollywood. See you in the next video. Until then, identify opportunities where others see only barriers.